Another problem. Halfway through the ride, went out to Tampa, stopped, whatnot. As soon as I stopped, started hearing noise, power steering went dry, and I lost my power steering. And then I had to drive home back with, no power steering. That shit was tough. It was hard as hell to turn. Came back home, I looked at the reservoir, it was low, it was bubbly, so I was like, alright, bet, I'll with that tomorrow. Come to today, this morning, woke up early because we were gonna go to like a little car meet car show. And I just had to adjust my clutch, which I did. I added more power steering fluid. I started my car, I sucked it in, I needed to add more. I added more, then I went to go pull my car in, bunch of power steering fluid dumped out. It's from a line in my power steering rack. This is my OEM one that I replaced. It wasn't leaking or nothing, but I just replaced the power steering rack while I had the motor on and whatnot. It's a Detroit axle one on, but it's crazy that first hour and a half ride or whatever, it's already leaking. It was brand new, my first drive really in it. Unfortunately, but it is this flare right here. It's like leaking through the line itself where the nut connects, not through the threading, but like through the line. So my guess is when the power steering was running dry through the ride back, too much air built up in the system and maybe like kind of went out through that and just created a leak, or also wasn't flared right because it's aftermarket or whatnot and just wasn't really seated properly. So right now I'm gonna go try to loosen it up and fuck with it a little bit. I tried tightening it, it seemed like it was real firm, so I'm gonna just play with it a little bit, see if anything happens before I really try to take it off, and possibly use this one for my OEM one, because I called around at the OEM Honda dealerships and whatnot, the warehouses actually, and yeah, that shit's on back order with no estimated time. Yeah, it's real unfortunate, the first drive, and we're dealing with that. Also, two more things. My axle boot, completely like torn on one portion and fucking smeared grease and power steering everywhere with everything. So I need a new axle boot and replace that. And also clean up a lot around that area on the right side because there's grease and shit everywhere. So yeah, that's fun. It's a beautiful day out, so I guess it's a good day to do car work and more content, right? Not really content I want to do. I want to be driving and showing you guys all the lovely drives. So yeah, I'll get back to y'all. Alright guys, so I got the two nuts untightened, the hard line off. I'm gonna see if I could be able to reel it out. Hopefully that one is gonna be a fix for now and something. I'm gonna put some Teflon on it, extra just to be sure. Lord, the shit that we go through, guys. And I'm glad I record things for you guys to experience it as well and maybe learn from it. Things to look out for, how to fix it if it happens to you or something. Power steering line is all fucked up, leaking. Lucky here. This is the one from the Detroit axle, brand new power steering rack I had. It was leaking, and look at it. I mean, it fucking like snapped, cracked off. This little portion was still stuck in there and whatnot, and I had to get a pick and pick it out. Thankfully, he thought of that because it was not here, and this is the nut portion and whatnot. Yeah, that's kind of just like unfortunate. It was quite the bitch to get this one out. Shout out to my girl. I was sitting mangling for like 20, something minutes, and the angle was real bad. I almost was getting it, and I was loosening the other line up to kind of free up some room, but then she went in there, wiggled with her small hands, and got it out. Thankful for that, but it's gonna be another challenge to wiggle this thing back in and then get it on. Well, not this one. We got the one from my OEM rack. It was a little bit rusty and whatnot, and I wire wheeled it. So should be pretty good. A little bit more, just clean it up extra, and we'll try to snake it our way through, and hopefully this one, is gonna be good and hold on. Fucking, this sucks. So hopefully you guys don't experience this. What is going on, guys? It's your boy with some updates. It's the next day, 4 o'clock. Not too much good news. Not a whole lot got done or finished. Been struggling non-stop. Yesterday we're at it all fucking day. I could get the thing in and out kind of no problem now because I've done it quite a few times of trying to bend the tubing and get it right. I got it bent a little bit where it seems decent, but it just seems a little short for some reason. The OEM one I took off my old rack. And another thing, these fittings right here, they don't like to move back. Well, this one is all right, but this one where the space is real tight, it's just, these things are old and they don't want to move. Sucks for me because the spacing already at that just is real tight. It sucks. You're like bending against things and rubbing on metals and whatnot. And right here, I barely was able to get a wrench in there to be able to break the nut free, let alone turn it. And thankfully it was a newer fitting, just moves in and out, you know, freely by finger. In this case, it's old and I can't do that, which sucks. And so it's making it even a harder time for me. It's like I'm semi getting it to length. It seems a little bit short, but I was kind of bending it, trying to get it to length. But then getting it fitted right, it just doesn't want to go. On this end, for some reason, like down right here on the rack area, just, I don't know, man. I've tried endless times of like trying to get it screw in and whatnot, but for some reason it just does not want to work. It just doesn't want to go in. I know it's a thing where you have to just get it right, but it just doesn't go in. Yeah, it sucks, man. The first drive, and now we're back down indefinitely because I don't know when I'm gonna fix this, how I'm gonna fix this. Tomorrow is Monday, so I'm gonna try to call the warehouses, see if they have a new one in stock, and possibly try that because it's $10. But I got a flaring toolkit, and I'm gonna have to use the fittings from the old one, most likely, and try to flare it myself. I also bought this like 4-foot line of copper from Advance. Their fitting though just doesn't work. For some reason the fitting's too small, so I can't use that one, unfortunately. So I was gonna try to get one as close to the length as possible and try to bend that up and use that, but potentially, you know, learn to bend it myself and use this to get the bubble flare that it needs. I've never done it before. It needs like this, the bubble flare. So we gonna learn and see. All right, welcome back, guys. This is an update on the whole power steering situation after my first drive experience with the TSX. 40 minutes into the ride, once I stopped, I lost power steering randomly, and then on my ride home, it was real stiff steering. Barely could turn the fucking thing. Checked the next morning, bunch of fluid underneath, leaking and all that type of stuff. So this is the line. This came from my OEM rack. I've showed you guys where like the area and placement is, and I'm gonna show you guys afterwards when I'm all said and done. Bleeding the power steering right now. It took some work and I didn't record it. Yesterday I went to Hose and Hydraulics. It's a company that they specialize in those kind of things. I had them flare up, not this one, but same brake line, got from Advance Auto. I had them flare it up, do the bubble flare, because for life of me, the Harbor Freight one couldn't get it done. Like I was trying, it could not do a nice one, and so I had them do it. This line's a lot easier to bend, so I had to bend it every which way to kind of route it in, and it took some time to work. It's like, it has to be just the right angle for that thing to really thread in and catch it, so it's kind of a pain. And especially with this OEM one that I tried, because like the fittings barely move, especially on this side where there's barely any room at the wheel well. So I got them in. I got one side worked in yesterday, then the other side wouldn't want to go in. I was bending it and this and that, and I got the steering column one in. Then I got the one in the middle in afterwards, because that's the one near the steering column, driver's side wheel, it's a pain. This whole thing was a pain. It's a couple day kind of situation, trying to figure it out and get it situated. At the moment, we're looking pretty good. Definitely was leaking a lot more before, especially when I was doing this whole bleeding thing and letting, you know, the fluid in. I'm not seeing any consistent leaks, nothing on the floor. I seen a minor drip starting to form at the pipe again, but I went in there and did a little turn, and it's probably had to be seated just a little bit more tight. And so far, I've been, you know, lock to lock for a while. It's taking the fluid. I'm still working it. Hoping for the best. It should be good. The other side near the steering column doesn't seem to be leaking at all. I'll update you guys some more and show you guys what I got in there and whatnot if I can after all said and done, because I'm just trying to get this blood. So, peace. All right, what is going on, my beautiful people? Think I got it situated and good. Nothing seems to be dripping as, you know, I'm doing lock to lock and the system's taking in. I was doing it for quite a while. Wow, look at that magic. It's hanging by a rope now. Oh, following me too. God damn, look at that. I did lock to lock a lot of times to make sure, you know, fluid's going through. I'm gonna start the car. Hopefully everything sounds good and no leaking from the pressure and all that. Alright y'all, so we got the car out, it is running. I've driven around the block like twice, been adjusting the clutch, had to re-bleed it, the whole 9 yards. But the whole power steering line issue, I believe is fixed. It's not leaking anymore, it's not leaking now. So thankfully there's no puddles. It leaked a little bit, but I just had to give it another, you know, half turn to tighten, and everything's pretty sound. I had to add another quart of oil in. I guess maybe because of the Type S pump. Car is up and running. No leaks from the power steering stuff. I do have an OEM line coming. Unfortunately, I guess if we ever need it again, and we might have one handy. Just couldn't find it anywhere, but these guys had it. Shakedown at the moment, making sure everything's solid and good and no leaking, no extra weird noises. We're kind of hearing stuff, but like things are settling in, shit is new, got stiff motor mounts, so things are just extra vibrating and, you know, like a vibrator. So pause because I don't know nothing about that. So we adjusted the clutch to where, like, as soon as I'm like releasing, it's actually rolling. Before it wasn't like that. She's roaring, but I think it's it may be my headers that are like, yeah, I think my headers are leaking. I might have to. Can't tell if that's an exhaust leak or what. Or is that just how my car sounds?
I never take a day off, work around the clock, my engineer getting paid off. Rock like Ace up, like the weed and take off. So high I cannot see.